Good morning. Today we are continuing working with those circles. Last time we did the circumference going around the outside of the circle. Today we are doing the area of the circle. So the area, remember, is the number of square units needed to cover a figure. Then we have our circle, which is the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance which would be the radius from the center remember that a diameter is the distance across the circle which is 2 times the radius. So our radius is halfway, the diameter is the full way. So that diameter is 2 times the radius. Does it go this far? It goes all the way across. So we know to find the area of our square and our rectangle and our trapezoid and all that. We're looking at the base and the height and all that good stuff. Different for circle because we don't have straight lines. So the circle is different. With no straight lines, we have to work with that pi again. So anybody know the area of a circle? If you know it?
3.1.
That's pi. Pi is 3.14. How do we find, to find the circumference of the circle, it was 2 times pi times r. How do we find the area of a circle? Liam?
A equals pi r2.
So the area equals pi times r squared. When that 2 is up high, it means we're squaring it. What does it mean when we square a number? Who remembers that? Nolan?
Multiply it by itself.
We multiply it by itself. Remember, it's not, if our radius is 5, it's not 5 times 2, because there's a 2 up there. It means it's 5 times 5. So we see that 5 2 times. So if we look down here at A, it says the radius is 5 centimeters. So our area would be pi times 5 squared. So remember on our calculator, that x to the square, that button. So you would press pi times 5 and that squared button. So when we look at that on our calculator, let me see, is my calculator back here? Oh, Nolan H., can I borrow your calculator? So when we want to type this on our calculator, we are going to do, let's get it without a glare, pi, so you can do the pi button. Then you multiply. Our radius is 5, and then I press my square button where it says x squared, and I can see there's a smaller 2. So it's pi times 5 squared, and then I get a big long decimal. So we can see in the directions it says to round to the 100th place. So if I look at this, I have 78.53 0.398. What would that be rounded to our 100th place, Kylie?
78.54.
Good. That 3 is in the 100th place, and it is followed by a 9. The 9 is 5 or more, so that means my 3 rounds up to that 4. Thank you, Nolan. So, and I'm looking at that, I'm going to write the equation that I'm going to do. Area equals 5 times 5 squared. And then I can put my answer, 78.54. Put your equation, so if you get it wrong, we can see where you went wrong. And I would even go so far as to put what your decimal was, so we can see if you rounded correctly, right? Because that rounding is really big. We want to round to that 100th place, so we look at the number in the thousands place. 5 or higher, we round it up to the 4. Okay, let's look at our next one. What am I going to put into my calculator if I'm given this information? What do you think we're going to put? So what's the equation I'm going to write, James?
R times 2.
So I have to put, what is my R?
6.
How did you get that, James?
Because it's already across, and then I divide 12 by 2, it's 6.
Our diameter is 12. We don't want the diameter, we want the radius. So if you're given the diameter, you need to divide it by 2 to find your radius. So that was exactly right. So our equation is the area equals pi times 6 squared. What did we get for our area if our diameter was 12? What is our answer? Maddie, what'd you get? 113.10. Perfect. Do you see how we did that? If you're given a diameter, you have to break it in half, because we only have one formula. You have to work with the radius. James,
I got 452.
come bring me your calculator and show me what math you did. You're the one who even walked me through how to find the radius. You put in the diameter. You have to, now on my paper, I actually wrote down that 6 for the radius. That's my reminder that I want to use the 6, not the 12. So you knew exactly what to do.
What you were saying. I thought you said as an example we should do that. So I did it.
I asked you what to do, and you said pi times 6 squared.
I messed up.
Yep. So, notice how on my paper, I broke up my diameter, and I put that 6 on there. You can even cross that 12 off. So you remember to use the radius. When we're finding the area of the circle, it's always, always, always the radius. Always. So if you're given a diameter, break it up and write what the radius is. Cross off that diameter so you're using the correct number. So if we look at our last one here, look at D. I'm given a diameter of 16, so what should I do? Who can tell me what to do? Kylie.
Pi 8 times 8.
Yeah, I'm going to break up that 16, and I'm going to write an 8 right there. So I remember it's 8 squared, not 16 squared. So on your paper, look to see if you have any diameters. divide it by 2 and write that number as the radius, cross off that diameter so we don't make the mistake of using the wrong number. So that's the biggest mistake that's made on this page, is people will accidentally use the diameter instead of the radius. Our second biggest mistake, anybody care to take a guess what the second biggest mistake is that we do?
Getting the right rounding.
Messing up our rounding. Tied with that would be forgetting that when we square, it's the number times itself. So we mess up with our rounding, and people forget that squaring means we multiply it by itself. So this, like Kylie said, this would be pi times 8 times 8. All right? So pi r squared would be pi times 8 squared. That is the same thing. Pi times 8 times 8 and pi times 8 squared. Exact same thing. Don't forget that you're multiplying that number by itself, or you're using that squared button on your calculator. We do have a review at the bottom of the page, so it's always good. You can look back at your previous objectives. Do we have any questions on this page? Okay, remember that our packet number 11 is due tomorrow, so be working on finishing that up. Remember, we have our map test tomorrow. So when you are finished with this objective, go back and look through binder 1, look through binder 2. Give yourself a reminder of math that we've done all year. So truly, seriously, go to your locker, get your binder 1, look back at it, because you're gonna have some questions about that on the map test. And I don't want you to get to one of those questions and go, oh, snoikies, I know we did this, I remember these words, but I forgot what to do. Go back and just look over those objectives as a reminder. Okay? You don't have to do a lot of work with it, but just remind yourself what those words mean, what those formulas are. How do we multiply by a negative and a positive? What do we get as an answer? Okay, look back over those things just as a reminder going into that math test tomorrow. So finish up this page, and then truly, seriously look back over binder 1, binder 2, beginning of binder 3 here. Just review and remind yourself what we have done. If you are watching at home, do the same thing. We have that map test to prepare for, and we want to show all that we have learned this year. I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.